Thank you so much for joining us on Other People's Shoes today. This, of course, is a bonus episode just for you because we love you as the listeners so much. I sit across today a guest who was once a Christian rapper, 8 albums out, and now has denounced his faith and walked completely away from it. And you're going to hear his story next. I'm going to tell you right now, this is an episode you do not want to miss. You're going to be talking about it maybe with your friends, your family members, and your coworkers. Because, guys, I'm telling you right now, hold on tight. This is going to be the wildest ride to date. Join me next on Other People's Shoes. Hope you're ready, because here we go.
Hey, come take a walk with me. Not like you used to do. Do something different and put yourself in other people's shoes. Open up your mind and open up your eyes and change your direction, change your perspective.
Welcome into Other People's Shoes. As I mentioned, I am sitting across from Will, who is also known as Harmony. He has put out over 8 albums. He's currently working on some new projects, we could say. So welcome him in today to our show. Will, welcome aboard. How are you?
I'm good, dude. Thanks for having me, bro.
Man, I'm so excited. You know, I'm a firm believer in this, that things don't happen by mistake. Mm-hmm. We encounter people. And I think it's just great how we got to kind of connect through another guest. Mm-hmm. And I always like it when that happens, right? When guests are telling other people about, hey, man, go listen to this guy's show. So that's cool stuff. We thank Ben for that. So a little shout out to Ben on that. But before we get into the deep stuff that I know we're gonna make time for, we got to get this very important question out of the way. It's probably the most important question you're gonna answer. I'm building it up to this huge thing when it really is just the silliness that we do. But Will, what size shoe do you wear?
11.
11.
Yeah.
And do you have a certain brand?
Nikes and Vans. Vans is my new thing.
Are you into Vans? I'm looking at your Vans right now, actually.
Kind of sick, huh?
Those are sick.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because
I know,
I'm wearing
too.
some Vans too, so it's kind of funny. We're big friends of the show, Vans. Hopefully, one day we'll be sending us some love. I hope.
It's actually a Christian organization.
Is it really?
Too. Yeah, I was watching an interview on that. It's pretty cool, man.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. So, Will, where does the name Harmony come from?
Let's see. So, let's see, 1998, I was starting to rap, do Christian hip-hop music, and I listened to Bone Thugs and Harmony my whole life. And I've always harmonized when I rap, sing and rap. So it just kind of stuck, Harmony. And then High C is, I don't even know where that came from, man. I do, but it's a long, stupid, drawn-out story. So.
Okay. But Bone Thugs and Harmony is kind of where that name kind of originates from. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm thinking of like First of the Month, Crossroads, that kind of era of when they were kind of rocking it and rolling it.
Yep.
And they're coming to Medford.
We're going to go see them. Yeah.
Are you going to go see them?
I can't wait, man. I've never seen them live. Yeah, my girl and I got tickets, and I've heard that all 5 artists are going to be there.
Okay.
And if they're not, I'm going to be ticked, dude. Because Busy Bone's my favorite.
Busy Bones, I couldn't even name, by the way, any of the, because I remember them back in the day too. I grew up listening to hip hop, mm-hmm. and I'm trying to think of like the early days that I was listening. So I'm really dating myself here, and I don't know how old you are, but I'm really dating myself. Like NWA, I remember that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was a big Belle Biv DeVoe fan,
mm-hmm.
And so Bobby Brown, of course. Yeah. I know he didn't rap a lot, but he had some every now and then. But then this Christian camp counselor at a Christian camp, one year I was probably in middle school, and he hands me a cassette tape. So if you don't know what that is, you're probably gonna have to go Google that for those that are listening. They're like, cassette tape, what?
Yeah.
So, but it was Free at Last. It was a Christian band, DC Talk.
Oh yeah.
And I remember thinking, Christian rap. Like, I didn't even have a concept of what that was. And then, of course, that spawned into, other Christian rappers. KJ52 jumps into there. And now NF. I'm a big NF fan. Love NF. Love his stuff. Favorites. Yeah, I mean, I just love his stuff. His melody and just his rap and how fast he spits it is just mind-boggling to me. So I'm excited, and I've heard some of your stuff too, by the way, and it's good.
Yeah.
People should go listen to it. So there we are. So I want to lead in with this first question, and that's this is why all of a sudden, because I hear this album, Defenseless. Do you remember that album?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you have this song in there that the name of the song is Lost in You, right? And then you have this line that says, there's no way I'm letting you go.
Mm-hmm.
And what shocks me about that line is you have let him go.
I absolutely have. Yeah.
So talk about that.
That's crazy that you really did your research on my music. Thank you.
Buddy, I try.
Yeah,
we
that's
just
really
we
cool.
try to get into your shoes, and so we're in your 11s, which will be easy, and we're
Yeah.
both wearing Vans. Mine are 10.5 though, by the way. I wasn't sure if the 11s would fit, right? That's why I went 10.
I can wear the 10.5s in those too. I have a couple pairs that are 10.5, but it kind
Yeah.
of just depends on the
Okay,
shoe.
right.
Yeah.
But in any event,
So Lost in You, I
Yeah.
love that song.
yeah, and I did too, and I was digging it, and then as I'm digging into the song, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second, like, does he believe this anymore? Like,
So-
all these questions start fluttering in my mind. So anyway, answer that.
I don't believe that anymore. It's crazy because when I wrote that, so for
So what year are you writing this? If I can jump in.
that album was, oh gosh, I can't remember. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And my marriage was going downhill. And I wrote one album after that, which was Orphan.
Okay.
The Orphan mixtape, which really explains how bad my life was getting.
Right.
So Defenseless, I was going through a lot of problems. So I was writing to God saying, hey, check it out. Like, I'm not going to let you go. I know that this season's going to pass, so on and so forth. I've always believed that. I'm going to keep pressing down, keep pushing in. But it didn't pass. And I started seeing all of these unanswered prayers is what I feel. You know what I mean? I started seeing all these unanswered prayers. And the only way I could get these prayers out was through music. So I'd cry out to God. I'd tell him how I'm feeling. And Lost in You was one of those. And then, and since I didn't see that, I started losing faith in that. And I started kind of, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just.
Is that just the tip of the iceberg,
It's hard
really?
to explain
Sure.
because it's a whole season worth of
Okay.
unanswered prayers. It's a whole season worth of me talking to him not talking back in a way to me that's tangible at all.
Right.
So that's, you know what I mean?
I think I follow you.
Yeah.
Okay. So also in doing our research, our team went to the nth degree. You have this statement out on the internet. By the way, that's the good and the bad of the internet, right?
yeah,
Is stuff
absolutely.
just kind of lingers out there, and this is obviously years old. But here's a statement, and it says this. It says, Harmony High C has a heart for the lost and the passion to use his gift to draw people to Christ.
Sure.
Whether in church or on the street, God is using hip hop ministry to further his kingdom. Oftentimes, his ministry is misunderstood. I think that's referring to you, right?
To rap, yeah.
To rap in general. Okay.
Yeah, in the
Oftentimes, his ministry is misunderstood. Our goal is to spread the good news of Christ to the generation that otherwise would not step foot into a church. Harmony High C. Is this true?
So I was raised in thug mentality. I was raised kind of with the street mentality. So when I came to church and got saved, I still had that. And I wouldn't have just came into a church. I loved hip hop. So all the kids, and especially when we were doing hip hop, everybody listened to
Right.
that. All the kids listened to that, whether they were Christians or secular kids. And the mission statement that you're quoting there
Yeah.
was what we would tell youth pastors and pastors, hey, invite us to your church because we want to reach them on the level they're at. You know what I mean? And so many times they didn't understand rap. You know what I mean? So it's not true anymore. No, I don't want to reach the lost. I don't believe that anybody is lost personally. That's at all anymore.
Right.
But at that time, yeah, I absolutely did. So that's more referring to rap in general, using it as it was an evangelical tool.
Right. Yeah. A vehicle to get into to reach the kids.
Like you mentioned, Ben, good friend of mine, Ben Lasota. I love you, bro.
Yeah. Shout out to Ben.
Shout
yes.
out to you, Ben Jammin. But
Is that his stage name,
Yeah,
Benjamin?
Ben Jammin?
Why am I not surprised?
Phenomenal artist and just such a great heart. And one of my good friends to this day, and I super respect him. We'll have talks.
Good.
you know, me being agnostic and him being a Christian still. And like, I still super respect him. But anyway, we would go out together and do outreaches and whatever. And so it was true then, but not true now.
Right. And so that of course begs the question, why isn't it true? And you want to talk about that. So I'm going to give you full, you know, ability to do that. So why is that not true?
It's not true for me anymore because I started to question. So I got saved when I was 16. I say saved because that's what I believed I was, or what I was told I was at 16. And so my mind wasn't as rational as it is now at 36. I'm 36. There you go. You got my number now. But it wasn't that rational. So I kind of believed whatever was being told to me. And then I was being discipled. Basically, I was told in the church that I attended that I'm a sinner and I'm on my way to hell. And then, but there's a free gift of salvation. So if you come down now and get baptized and you be washed in the blood, so on and so forth, you guys all know the story. I did that. And I can't say that I didn't feel changed. I absolutely did. Things started to change. I won't negate that whatsoever, but I believed everything everybody told me. They told me the Bible has all the answers. The Bible's the written word of God, is infallible, all that. And so I believed it, and I was being discipled in that way. So I lived my life that way. Through that indoctrination, I married the wrong person, somebody that I wasn't, in my opinion, even supposed to be with. 13-year marriage, where the only thing that really kept us together was Christianity. Oh, divorce isn't an option. Oh, let's go to Christian counseling. Oh, let's do this. Just dig into the Lord. Pray more. Pray for your spouse. Blah, 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 blah. And I pressed in. I changed me. I prayed for God to change her. He never changed her. She's still the same person. You know what I'm saying? So like, I started losing my faith there. So with my marriage failing after all those years, I really started to question. I thought God put two people together, you see, and and then being divorced, it shook my faith. I was like, wait a second, you know, I thought whatever God puts together, let no man, even yourself, break apart, and it broke apart. So that kind of shattered my faith. Now I forget where we were going with that, but
That's okay. So the marriage happens. You're raised in the church, not raised in the church.
Raised in the church from 16 on.
Okay, so from youth on,
Yeah.
When you make the decision to really say, God, I'm done with you. When do you think that is? What age about, roughly?
I was 32 or 33.
Okay.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 years ago, you've now been
And
on this journey of kind of just walking away.
And I didn't really say. I mean, I said
Walking away from the church,
I
per
said
se.
it at times. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I was kind of forced out of the church. So when I backslid, to them it was backslid. To me, it was falling into my addiction. So my marriage crumbled. I didn't know what to do, so I did only what I used to know to do: is go back and start drinking heavily, and then go to dope. And I started smoking dope. And I felt fine, you know what I'm saying? Like it medicated me.
Dope being marijuana. I'm
No,
just not
meth.
left on the vernacular. Okay.
No, methamphetamines.
Okay, thank you.
So like, and then that numbed everything. So, but then the church cast me away. So that when I needed them the most, and I cried out for them. I remember, see, this is what pisses me off about the church. I still have really good friends in the church. Don't get me wrong. I have, and these are the real Christians that stuck by me to this day. Ben being one of them.
Being one of them. Yeah.
Right. So, but what really hurt me with the church was I would go out and minister side by side with these men of God, and we'd rap and whatever. This is a pastor. One of my best friends was a pastor, and I was crying out to this dude like, hey man, my marriage is failing. Something's going wrong. I need your help. I can't stop drinking. I need your help. I can't do this. Like something's going wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Help me. Oh, just press in, brother. Just press into Jesus. La la la. And then I ended up relapsing and getting kicked out of my house from my wife, and I'm steadily on drugs, right? So now they won't even talk to me. So they shunned me when I needed them most. So I felt very, very hurt by that.
And that's what I was just going to ask. How does that feel?
It's terrible. Like it really hurt me. It took me a long time to really get past it. And I don't even think I'm completely past that, because these are people that are supposed to be your family. You know what I mean?
Was it a church here in the Valley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's numerous churches in the Valley, you know. but one in particular, and I would never name.
Yeah,
drop.
that's fine.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to.
No, but yeah, of course it hurt. So
So help me out. You're 16. Where's mom and dad when you're 16 coming to church?
So, I grew up in Southern California. I ran away from probation down there and hitchhiked up to Oregon where my dad lived. And I didn't have a really strong relationship with my dad. I visited him every few years here in Oregon. But I needed to run away from warrants I had down there. So I came up to Oregon. Well, my dad and my stepmom were going to church regularly. I stayed with them. And then that's when I got saved. So then I ended up going back down to California and turning myself in.
Okay, so you turn yourself in, and do you serve time at that point?
Just a month. This is just
Okay.
Probation.
Probation violation,
And
nothing
then
major.
But then I came back up here because I loved Oregon. You know, I didn't feel like I had to watch my back. It wasn't bad.
Wasn't scary.
It wasn't bad. Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't scary. It wasn't. It was just a.
So
really
what year
cool,
is that?
This
Like
is 98.
98. Okay.
1998.
Okay.
And plus, I had this new hope inside of me of Christianity.
Yeah, you
of
felt
God.
you felt like maybe protected in a sense because you
Absolutely.
had it. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Plus a relationship with my dad that I've always craved, of course, as a child. So I moved back up and went to high school here too,
where'd you go to high school?
Crater, and then I got kicked out of there.
I'm sorry, you went to Crater.
Then I went
If
to-
you went to
yeah.
South, I could have protected
I
you
mean-
because I went to South. But no, I'm just kidding. Crater's a good school, I'm sure. I don't know. I always ran well there, so
Yeah.
I don't know. So the turning point really was the relapse, the failed marriage, the church basically saying we're good, you go to your way, we'll go our way,
It's
kind
how
of thing.
It felt.
Okay.
And then while I was in the game and I was smoking dope and just being on the streets and whatever, I felt more loved by secular people than I ever did in all those years of Christianity. Except
Do you think
for-
it was a real love though?
I mean, no,
The
I'm
secular
saying-
people
I'm
is
saying
what I
e-
mean.
I'm saying even now.
Oh, even
I'm
now.
saying even now.
Okay.
As a secular person, secular person, most of my friends, don't believe in God or whatever, but I don't know if it's because I don't have an expectation on them to love me for who I am, but the church, I guess I had that, and they were the ones, and that comes from the Bible. Jesus is saying, "You love your brother, love your sister," woo woo, and that being proven not to be the case so many times, it really shook my faith as well. So now I don't have that. I don't have that expectation on other people. But I did feel at that time that I felt more loved by people that weren't in the church than I did all those years as a Christian.
Wow, that's incredible. And I've heard people say that. I mean, you're not the only one that I've ever
course.
heard say that. In fact, Francis Chan actually talks about in his church that they had a lot of gang members coming to their church. And people in the church were like, whoa, Francis, what's going on here? And he goes, listen, Jesus wants to minister to them too. You should want to minister to them as well.
Yeah.
And the gang members started to feel rejected
Yep.
by the people, right? Not by God, but by the people. And so they end up leaving. And they're like, why would we stay in a place where we're not feeling loved when the street will love us, when they will not judge us, when they will encourage us? That to me is a very telling statement about the church in general.
Yeah.
And
And when I
I hope our church isn't that way.
and see, being that I come from a Christian past, I still have the sense to know that there's a lot of really genuine Christian people. So when I picture the church nowadays, I picture the people that are real.
Right.
Those are the real churches. They're doing what Christ said to do.
I.e.
They
Ben.
still love.
Those that are like that.
absolutely.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, one of my best friends, Andy Riggs, he was one of my producers and my DJ when we were doing music. Still a Christian, phenomenal dude. Even when I was getting high and I was renting motel rooms and this and that, he'd still come sit with me, never preach at me. He would just be like, dude, I love you, bro. Like, let's hang out. Like, he didn't care if I was smoking dope right in front of him. Like, he's still my bro.
Wow.
And I respect that. You know what I mean? That's my boy. And so there's really good people that are following that mission statement of going and loving the world. But I don't know,
So that's what I was wondering about too in that mission statement, and I think that's accurately put, obviously, because that was your mission, right? That's what you're going to do. How should people take your music in light of that statement now, like the music from the past, knowing how you feel now?
That's a tough one, dude, because there's so much good music.
There is. There really like yours. I say your old stuff, but But I
Yeah.
mean, your Christian stuff is good.
Most of my music was all Christian, like but it was real. It wasn't just like, oh, church music. Like, it was real.
No,
I
it was-
going through some stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't want to put you in a category of NF.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that.
But it is kind of like
That's
that.
why I respect
Okay,
NF.
thank you.
That's
Okay.
why I respect him.
I was like, I don't want to know. I don't know how as an artist I should say that without,
No.
you know. But it is. It's this really raw, real stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was like when I was listening to some of it this last week. I was like, man, there's so many, like I said, so many things that come to mind because I'm listening to this and I'm like, and I know your story, a little bit of it, because
Yeah.
we talked pre-show, but I'm like, there's so many things I want to ask him because I'm like, if someone were to come up to you now as an example, like just, I mean, we're right downtown Medford. I
Yeah.
mean, really, you live in downtown Medford where we are right now. But if somebody would come up to you and be like, man, I came across your stuff. It changed my life. I'm going to church now. I got out of the drug scene. What would your response be?
Dude, it happens all the time. I'm not gonna lie, all
Okay,
the time.
awesome. So talk about that.
It's a struggle for me, and I still struggle with this because I'll have people come up to me, especially people that used to listen to it and run into me. Man, I still listen to your music, bro. It's got me through so many hard times. I'm like, that's awesome, bro. And I let them know straight up. I say, I'm an atheist. Or at least an agnostic atheist now. Like I question and I'm skeptical about everything. I don't point people to my old music. I just don't. I'll go listen to it from time to time and I'm blown away. I'm just like, dang, this is good stuff. Like, I love it because I knew where I was at. I knew that when you mentioned NF, like, I knew that my heart was so right. And I hated to be labeled a Christian rapper. Like, I was a rapper who was a Christian. You know, my faith was Christianity, but I was still real. I was still a real human being. So I was trying to portray that. And I think that's why the church didn't really, wasn't considered too godly enough for them because it was whatever, risque or whatever. But I still get people that come up to me but I don't really point them to that because I don't believe the stuff I preached anymore. I just don't believe it anymore. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's such a crazy paradox for me. It really is. Like, I'm like, this is so hard. So Will, tell me, who would you say Jesus is to you?
He's nobody to me anymore, man. It's crazy. And I still do my research, man. Like, I still, I dig as deep as I can go. So who Jesus has been taught to me still plays in my mind. I was just watching a lot of videos today about Christians recovering from the hell doctrine. I'm recovering from that. Like, I don't believe in hell. And if there is a hell, then God's, you got a bleeper right there.
No, go ahead. Just
If
be real.
If
Like we
there
said,
is a hell,
Yeah.
then God's a dick, dude. Like, because my heart was pure. For 17 years, I was in Christianity. For 17 years, I believed I was saved. And I started using my rational brain, and all of a sudden, now I'm not a Christian, and now I'm not on my way to paradise. I think it's a scam, bro. So who is Jesus to me now? Who I want him to be now in recovery, because I'm in recovery, going on 3 years clean. But
congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That needs to be said.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that, man.
In recovery,
Yeah.
you need to have some kind of higher power. So I struggle with that being God, the God that I knew, right? I struggle with that being the Jesus that I knew. And and then all my recovery friends would tell me stuff like, well, make it a God of your understanding. Okay, so in Christianity, take out the bad that I didn't like about it, all the hell doctrine and whatnot, right? There was still a loving Father. There was still a loving Savior. There was a Savior that's been through everything you've been through, relatable, tangible, this and that. That's who I would hope that God is, right? So in my recovery, my higher power is someone like that, but I don't have a name for him anymore. I don't call him Jesus. I don't call him Jesus because I don't believe in that same Jesus anymore. So that's who he is to me now. Because I don't trust the Bible anymore. I found a lot of different things in the Bible that just don't add up anymore to me.
Can you give me like 3 things that don't add up anymore?
sure.
Maybe there's more. I'm sure there probably is in your
there's
mind.
Hundreds. Man,
Okay,
but
so
I don't
give me
know
like
them
your
all.
maybe give me your top 3 or 4.
My top 3 or 4. So the hell one's big for me.
Okay.
Okay. So you got the Old Testament that doesn't speak on it that much.
Okay.
And then you got the New Testament that speaks on it here and there. The problem with hell is that there's 1,000 different denominations split because nobody can agree on what the hell it is. You know
No
what I'm
pun
saying?
intended there,
Yeah,
right?
no, they can't, bro. They can't. And like, So I can't trust this Christian doctrine if they can't even agree, bro.
Okay.
That's always been a big thing. And it's not until I kind of denounced Christianity that I was able to say those things aloud. But I used to think that all the time, like, wait, this doesn't add up. Wait, this doesn't add up.
Right.
That's
So the
one
hell
of them.
thing. Okay.
The hell thing. Here's a huge one, bro. This one, Adam and Eve. Okay.
Okay.
So let me go to my notes.
Yeah, I was gonna say you do have some notes, which
Yeah.
you're the second guest that's had notes.
Because I'm really bad about putting things. I can write music all day long. I
Yeah.
can write things down.
Yeah.
And make them make sense. If I try to talk, I fumble, I rabbit trail, and all.
Which
that.
is funny because you can rap really well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Just don't listen to my old stuff.
All right.
Hey, just
Hey, just playing.
Hang
It's
on,
good
let me
stuff
see here.
still.
So I wrote here sin and salvation. Like this
Okay.
is a big one for. Well, let's start with the Bible. Okay, so the Bible is the source and foundation of Christianity. Its origin is unknown. Many of the books have unknown authors. Now I know apologists will debate all that. So the stories in many cases were written with many years after the events supposedly took place. The God of the Old Testament. This one's big for me too because, like I said, about a loving father.
Right.
The God of the Old Testament, from my understanding, was super cruel and immoral. And not always, of course, you got to read in context, but like,
Right.
and in the New Testament, God all of a sudden he's different and he changed, but yet he claims that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So
Okay.
that's like to me, that's a huge, what's the word I'm looking for? Contradiction of itself, because he's supposed to be the same yesterday, today, and forever. Well, that's one of them. Also, so many different books that never made it into the Bible. See, and I've been doing some research on this, but who was the ones to determine what books didn't get in there? It doesn't make any sense to me. 66 books written by however many authors. Well, what about the other ones? What about the Book of Enoch I hear a lot about? What about, there was something about Peter writing something else, and there was mention of hell and all these different things.
Well, and there's a Gospel of Thomas. There's a Gospel
Yeah.
of Mary, I think, out there as well.
Who was the determining factor? If this is God's infallible word, they say that it was inspired by the Holy Spirit, and he put everything he wanted to be in there. How come those books didn't get in there? It wasn't him who chose that. It was man who chose that. So that creeps me out, bro.
Okay. Yeah.
Number two, so sin and salvation. So God created everything, including sin. So before there was any time, there was just God. Let me put a side note. I believe there absolutely could be a God. I cannot explain this world. I think this world's beautiful. I think humans are beautiful. I think our emotions are beautiful. Like everything about us. I mean, the universe, like it's phenomenal, bro. Like who can explain that? Science tries, good luck, right? So there could be that's why I call myself an agnostic atheist, because there absolutely could be a God. But so supposedly according to Christianity, God created everything, including sin. So before there was time and before there was anything, it was just him. He said, I'm going to go make Adam and Eve. I'm going to make everything for them to enjoy. I'm going to give them a garden. But then I'm going to give them a reason to screw it all up. Like that right there, it just doesn't make sense to me. So he says, it's kind of like a setup. He said, but God apparently had a backup plan, because then he was going to send his son, Jesus Christ. So basically, God's going to sacrifice himself to himself in order to lift a punishment he put in place because of the laws he made up in the first place. It just doesn't add up to me. Like, if he really wanted a relationship with people, why make it so hard for us to understand what the truth is?
Right. Those are some deep concerns there you have. I appreciate you sharing that. First off, was that easy or hard to do you feel like?
That's super hard. Like,
considering what's, gone on in the past, I guess is what I'm asking.
what do you mean? Like,
Well, just considering your background, I mean, is this the first time you've really kind of let that go in a public setting where you're like, hey,
I talk to people here and there.
okay.
Especially the ones that I'm close with, like I keep mentioning Ben because he keeps coming to mind, but like any Christians that are actively still in Christianity that I respect will talk about stuff like that. My buddy Chris.
But this is the first time, like in a public setting, that we don't know where this is going to reach. Like we don't know where this show goes, and people ask me all the time, like, where does it go? I'm like, I don't know. I really don't.
The first time for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I meant by that. So,
and my last one, you said 3 of them. So my last one about the Bible would be, to me, God's kind of like the ultimate hide and seek. You know what I mean? Like,
What do you mean by that?
so the Bible claims that he is a tangible and approachable. I'm reading here because
That's okay.
the Bible claims that he is, tangible and approachable. But I've approached him thousands of times through prayer with genuine questions, asking fervently for these answers. And I'm still waiting to this day. Like, I literally drive to work all the time and say, God, are you who I thought you were? God, I have these doubts. God, what's eternity like? God, show yourself to me. God. And I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
So then, but according to Christianity, all of my answers are only found in a book, which, by the way, is flawed in numerous ways, and no one can agree if it should be taken literally or not. That's a big one. So, like, how many denominations believe that when Jesus said, if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out? And then the other guys are going, and then the other denominations like, wait a second. No, he's just saying that figuratively. Well, how do we know? How many people stabbed themselves in the eye because they looked at a beautiful chick, dude? Right?
Yeah, it's a valid point.
Nobody can agree. So
Yeah.
how can I trust that? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, I hear you.
That's just a couple of things.
Man, first off, Will, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
I really do. Thanks for giving us your insight into that. Obviously some of it I'm questioning myself and it's a good point. Some of it I'm like, well, that can be explained, but
Right,
we're not
absolutely.
here to do that. We're not here
Yeah.
to debate, and I want to make that clear too. We're not going to get into that because that's just not what this show is designed to do. But Will, you mentioned God. You mentioned, driving to work, asking him hey, God, what's up? Where are you at? What's going on? So with that, who or whom, very tough to say back to back, who or whom, where's your authority come from?
It would break that down a little.
Yeah, sorry. I
okay.
really messed that up. So let me try this one more time. So where does your authority come from? Does it come from a person, or where does it come from? Authority in your life.
Authority in my life, to know whether to do right or wrong.
Right or wrong, or where do you get your guidance, or is there a higher power? I know you said that there is a God, but there isn't. I'm not really sure. So in my life, my authority does come from God.
Sure.
I rely on him to tell me right, wrong, help me discern that, right?
And I think a lot of that, so atheists and Christians will debate where, I want to say immorality, where morals came from,
Right.
I know I was taught morals through Christianity, through America, America,
Right.
the standards that America has. I was raised in that, so I know right from wrong, whether it came from the 10 Commandments or the 613 that they don't mention. But so a lot of that's instilled in me.
Right.
But now I think my biggest authority to me is my recovery. So like I live the way I want to live. I curse all the time and I don't care.
I'm laughing because we were talking well, should I curse on this show?
No, I don't
Should I
wanna
not?
yeah.
And so I was kind of laughing at that. That's why I'm laughing a little bit.
I totally respect the
Yeah.
show. So
I appreciate
but
that.
What I'm saying is so in my day to day now, I live, I hate the words like a heathen, but I do. I find stuff funny. I watch whatever I want to watch, and I don't have conviction anymore about it. I don't. My authority comes from my recovery, knowing that when I was miserable in my addiction, the one, oh God, I'm so bad putting things in words, so bear with me here. So my one thing I know I never want to do is go back to where the hell that I was in my addiction.
But there is no hell.
No. The misery. Yeah.
Sorry.
Good point. You
Sorry.
got me there.
Sorry, buddy. I couldn't. You set me
No.
up. I felt like that was just the T set
You
up.
win.
Okay.
You win. Let's
All
wrap
right.
this up. No,
All
it's
right.
fine.
But the hell that you were in. Sorry.
The hell and misery I was in my addiction.
Yeah.
Even though I live however I want to live now, my ultimate authority is no matter how you live, still you don't want to go back to that. So I live my life as it's my authority. Okay, so I play my tapes forward, right? If I'm driving down the road with my girl and this jerk was just he's flipping me off because he cut me off, well, immediately I'm jumping out what's up, homie? What do you want to do? And it took me a few times to be wait a second, next time you do that, what if you catch a case and you just got your kids back in your life, you got a great fiance, you're going to catch an assault charge and you're going to go back to prison. That's my authority. I play that tape forward. I know what I don't want in life. I know that if I kill somebody, I'm going to get 25 to life. I know that if I do drugs, I'm going to lose everything again. I guess that's kind of my authority. But
I love that phrase.
Yeah.
I love that phrase. Play it forward.
When I was in,
Not pay it forward, but play it forward.
play the tape forward.
Like PLAY. Play it forward.
Yeah.
Man, I dig that. I've never heard that before.
So, and I never did until I did drug treatment when I was upstate, and it was
Yeah.
a phenomenal tool they give you, and they program it in your brain over and over and over. That like, every choice you make, and I instill this in my 14-year-old, like every choice you make, dude, is gonna give you a consequence. You determine your destiny, however your life looks. So that's my authority, I guess I could say. Whatever choice I make, I know that there's gonna be an outcome. So playing that tape forward, I can think, okay, if I do this, it's going to snowball and go back. And, there's going to be a chain reaction to it, and it's going to affect this person, this person, this person, this person. So that's kind of how I view life now.
That's awesome. I love that. Play it forward, like I said. Not pay it forward, but play it forward.
I do love paying it forward too.
But yeah, I mean,
I'll
they're
tell you
equally
what.
great phrases.
I'll tell you what, one thing that has
Yeah.
always stuck with me in the life of Jesus is, even to this day, I don't care what it is, man. I will help anybody I can help, like no matter what. And I know that it's just, I love people. Like I'll always love people. Give your shoes off your feet, give the shirt off your back, feed people. I don't care if they look like they're on dope, they're ready to go shoot up. I don't care, dude. Like I've been there. So I'm going to go help that person. So whether I was in the church or I'm secular, I still do that same thing. So I don't even know if that comes from God or if that is just instilled in us in humanity.
That's a great question too.
knows?
Who knows? That's a great question to ponder. So, Will, what was the breaking moment of the addiction? What you mentioned being 3 years sober now.
Yeah.
So, man, that again, worth repeating. Awesome. Great job on that.
you.
Continue to take the steps necessary to be that way. Not that I'm the authority to tell you to do that, but I just love hearing guys that are out of recovery that are taking those necessary steps to
Yeah.
do the right thing. Because I don't know, maybe I'm the Puritan at heart over here on the couch, but but I love the fact that you're making those steps, recognizing that, hey man, this was wrecking my life. This was wrecking my kids. This was wrecking, your fiance and others around you. But you took those steps to stay clean. So that's awesome. But what was the moment? What was the moment that it was like, okay, something needs to change here? What was that moment?
So here's a funny thing that even today, as an agnostic atheist, I think about all the time, is a prayer that I prayed 2 weeks before I got caught. So I was in the dope game for a year and a half or so, doing whatever I do. There's crime involved when you're on drugs. When you just have nothing, you lose your job, you lose your family, you lose everything. Your car gets stolen. You're living in your car, then you go to live in the trap house, couches, then you're living on the streets, or whatever you're doing, right? So
And that was your life.
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay.
For a year and a half.
Let's be clear on that. That was your
That
life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And and it was miserable, and it was constant re-up, constant get drugs, constant get drugs, constant get drugs. Because if I had drugs, I wasn't feeling the pain of losing my family. I wasn't feeling the pain of losing God or whatever it was dealing with in my heart. So I lived like that for a while. Committed burglaries, burglary, or just one. Yeah.
Just one.
Anyways,
Okay.
yeah, edit that out. No, just kidding. Committed crimes. It's
Okay.
inevitable.
Right.
You don't have any more money. You know what I mean?
So you got to
you're
go find
gonna-
the money.
You're going to steal. You're
Okay.
going to go break into places. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. I broke into a house, and I burglarized the house twice. And I got a lot of things. I stole this BMW. I loaded it up with all their stuff. And very ashamed of what I did, but I did my time. You know what I mean? And I came correct. But
Was that here in the valley?
Yeah.
You probably can't talk about it too much, but
no, I've done my time. For
Okay.
it. I just won't talk about anything else.
yeah. The details of it, the
Yeah.
day, the people, all that. Yeah, we don't
No,
need to talk about all that,
no.
but
It was honestly the best thing that ever happened to me. So back to that prayer.
yeah,
that I
back to
prayed.
the prayer 2 weeks before you get
So
caught.
I'm leaving this drug house, and I've been up for at least a week, and I hate my life. I'm just
A week straight, no sleep.
That's nothing, dude.
Okay.
Like if you're in the game, bro, like you're just constantly up.
I have no concept of this, is why I'm
Constantly up.
asking.
2 weeks.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
And it almost seems like it's like you can't really do that. You can. It's all chemically. You're chemically.
Like I've done lock-ins in the past, and I'm
Yeah.
up 24 hours, and I'm ready to die. So the idea of being up a week straight,
Yeah.
not a good idea for me. But anyway,
it's
go back to
It's
that.
chemically involved. Though.
Okay.
It's all chemicals.
Okay.
Man, by
So
that.
you're up a week straight. You're praying this prayer.
I'm walking down the street, and I'm super pissed, man. And I just rip my shirt off, and I'm screaming, top of my lungs, I effing hate you, God. F my life. I hate my life. And I'm bawling, dude. Because I hated my life. But see that if I didn't have the drugs in my system, I wasn't numbed enough in my brain, and I felt all of what was going on in my life, which is why you stay high when you're in addiction. Okay. So, and I'm cruising down the street, and I remember praying to him, screaming, you need to effing help me. I can't stop doing drugs. I can't stop committing crimes. And then I remember thinking, and I didn't say it out loud, but I said, but please don't let me go to prison. Right?
Okay.
And so 2 weeks later, I burglarized his house and did all that stuff. And then I got in a high-speed chase in the stolen car. I got apprehended, and I went to jail. And both of my co-defendants ratted me out and told me I was the main one. And I kept silent, didn't say nothing. But I knew, so I went to the county, and I finally got sleep, right? So I slept for like a week. And when I was kind of getting my mind back a little bit, I was like, oh, man, like maybe this is what I needed, even though it was hard. And then I went to prison. They sent me to prison. And it was the best thing that ever happened. Prison, by the way, for everybody, it's not what everybody thinks it is.
It's not like on TV.
It's not like on TV. Now, Oregon, they call it Prisneyland because it's not super.
What do they call it?
Prisneyland.
Prisneyland.
You got California, harder prisons, Washington, harder prisons, but Oregon.
I'm learning some stuff today.
Yeah.
I'm learning about drugs. I'm learning about
Yeah.
Prisneyland. I'm learning about playing it forward. You're teaching me some great stuff here.
But Oregon's kind of
Yeah.
Prisneyland, they call it.
Got
But,
it, okay.
And there's some hard stuff in prison,
Sure.
but where I was at is a minimum camp. It's a minimum prison where you just go. It's actually a treatment prison where they have an AIP program where you're able to do a drug treatment and shave a few months off your sentence. The few months is great and everything, but if you really want to change, like it's the best opportunity they could have ever gave you. So I did this program, and it's like $70,000 the state dumps into you to program.
So somebody invests $70,000 into you, i.e. the state.
Taxpayers or whatever.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
I invested
thank
into you.
No, check it out. I know. So check it out. I remember sitting in treatment going, I burglarized. What's the word I'm looking for? I burglarized my town. Right. I did a
Right.
crime against my town,
Your people.
and then my people, my town, poured money into me being rehabilitated, and I took advantage of that. I really did, and I listened to their curriculum. I studied it. I was honest. They rip out all that junk inside of you. Like it's a 6-month intensive program. It's like 14-hour days.
Not only the behavior, is that what you're referring to, but the drug addiction as well as ripping that out of you?
The reason you wanted to use.
Oh, got it. The reason.
So
you
I
wanted
had to
use.
deal
Okay.
with. I had to deal with my divorce
Okay.
sober. So I was in prison a year before I did the treatment. So once you get into the treatment, you're 6 months from the gate. That's a 6-month intensive program, and then 3 months when you're out. So I had a whole year to really contemplate and work on myself, and I was doing that. So as soon as I was in the county, about a month in, I was just like, dude, I don't want relationships with girls no more. I don't want to numb this no more. I'm done. And I remember talking to God, or who I thought God was, whatever, and being like, I just want to know what's inside of me now. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of walking around with all this junk.
Yeah.
And I began that process. So then here it is, a year and a half later, I'm in the treatment program, and they help me. They give me all the tools I need. I got out. I've been out 15 months, and I'm still clean. I don't want to use, because I know if I play it forward, I know what that life's going to give me again. I'm going to lose everything I have. And now, I mentioned earlier how I believe I was married to the wrong person. I'm in a relationship with a person that is completely a healthy relationship.
And what's her name?
Angelica.
Angelica.
She's
okay.
written on my neck in case you needed spelling.
I did.
No,
Thank you.
Player,
Thank you.
No,
Say-
sorry. Angelica.
I thought you were never supposed to get a girl's name on your body
That's
anywhere.
what they
Okay,
say,
all
man.
right, but you're gonna prove that wrong
Yeah.
because you're gonna make it work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just did it because
Congratulations on
if
that.
I'm ever signing anything, I gotta make sure I spell it right.
Gotcha. It's a tough name.
But, yeah. Angelica.
It's a tough name.
So now I know in my recovery,
Right.
now I know what it's like to have a healthy relationship, not a toxic relationship. Now I've got my boys back in my life. Now one of them's a teenager, and that's a whole nother story. He don't
Yeah, I have a 12-year-old. I
he-
can relate.
Yeah, he don't want to obey the rules here, so he runs back to his mom. So I got to go to court and figure that out. It's a whole thing. But
Yeah.
I have my kids back in my life. I've dealt with the guilt, the shame. I've made my amends to those people, even to my ex-wife, how I abandoned my family, all that. I did that work when I was in treatment. Like, and it works, bro. Like, it gets that shit out of you, dude. And so now I don't have a reason to use anymore. So that's that. You know?
Yeah. When was the first time you used? What was the circumstances and why methamphetamine? I mean, because you've heard the slogans, especially in this area.
Yeah.
Don't use meth, not even once, right?
That's so lame. Dude. But
It is lame, but that's what I was drawing from. And by the way, you're just down the street from the news organization
I know.
that did it,
Yeah.
just for the
I remember
clarity's
when they,
sake.
I remember when they did that. They ran that TV ad where the couple that got lost in the woods or whatever, like
Yeah.
super sad. Like that can happen.
Yeah.
So, and you do go into a psychosis.
Yep.
You're up that long. You're
Yeah.
up that many days.
Yeah,
You
the
don't know
Bear
what-
Camp Road, folks. Is that what you're referring to?
No, it was some kind of. No, it wasn't Bear Camp Road. That
Okay.
was the people that do
The Asian
that
couple,
was totally
yeah.
different.
Okay.
That wasn't on the meth thing, but there was like a high school couple.
Oh,
Do you remember
okay.
that?
I think I do. Yeah.
And they were on meth, and she tried to call for help, and they
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
they
Couldn't figure out where she
they
was,
were.
and she died on the 911 call.
Right,
Yeah, I do
right.
remember that one.
Super sad. Like
They used that in their advertising.
did.
I do remember that now. Man, that was a sad commercial. Now that you're making me think of that, thanks for that,
yeah.
jerk. Just
I
kidding.
know. So back my first time using meth was in 9th grade. I've always been leaned towards alcohol.
Okay.
And it's my gateway. So
So there is a gateway drug.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I've heard people tell me there isn't. So
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and a plug for anybody in recovery. Some people will say, "Oh, I've been clean for 5 years off meth and off heroin, but I can still drink." Me, I can't, and I don't know how they're still in recovery because to me that's a gateway. As soon as I start getting numbed up a little bit, I want to sober up and I want to go hit licks. I want to go. I want to go steal cars. I want to. That's the process. That's
Gotcha.
playing it forward, knowing that I can't even. We were at Mexican food last night, and I looked over at this dude drinking a beer, and I was like, looking at my girl. I was like, damn, I miss drinking a beer. And then I was like, but I can't do it, and I won't do it because then I lose you. Then I lose myself again, and that's hell.
incredible.
When you lose yourself, bro, like that's hell. You know what I mean? But first was 9th grade, and then I got clean for like 15 years. Kate, when I'd have a bad fight with my ex-wife, I would run out and I'd grab a 40 ounce or something, and I'd start drinking it, and then I'd the conviction of the Holy Spirit or whatever it was, I'd throw it away because I didn't want that, right? And then towards the end of my marriage, we both started drinking because we were on the rocks. The whole thing was going down, and we knew it. So we started drinking. And then she, at the time, could handle that. I couldn't. And then as soon as that meth pipe was in front of me, and I seen it because I was out partying, I was like, oh, snap. Like that, it never goes away from me. It's like, oh, I want to do that. And I did, and it was
the downhill from
It
there.
was gone.
Then you're playing it forward as far as like the addiction and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Going back to the church people and the church itself, do you feel like that the church failed you or the people failed you?
That's a loaded question because I almost feel I have. It's gonna sound like I'm conspiracy theorist, but I almost feel like Christianity in general is made up to just control people. It's one of my beliefs now. So I think I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that. I think that, like I said before, the church people, I was let down because I had an expectation of what love is. I know that I've poured love into people with no expectation, so I guess I had an expectation on them that they would do the same, and they didn't. So I was really let down. But I think the church mostly because even with my ex-wife, like I felt like you can be a Christian and not change and just be a hypocrite the whole time and never change and just sit under the grace of God. I think that's BS, bro. When I was trying to change, you know what I mean? Genuinely. But so, yeah, I think I was let down by the church people, but I think they're misinformed too. I think most of the people that sit in the pews and listen, they're literally just being indoctrinated, bro. Like, so I don't blame them. When I have a lot of Christian friends still on Facebook, and honestly, I wish I could delete most of them because I'm tired of seeing, prayer and this and that and that. But but I respect where they're at. But I can't. I know that they're just they're re-saying what they've been taught. So I can't blame them for being Christians. And I don't hate Christianity. I don't hate Christians, but I do hate the indoctrination of hell. If anything, like I can do away with most of all the doctrine that I was taught, but many atheists will tell you after they came out of Christianity, the biggest problem they have is shaking this thought of hell because it's ingrained. And I wish I was never told that.
Yeah. Do you ever think that you're a hypocrite in any respects because of your old music?
That's why I don't. Yes and no. That's why I don't. I'm proud of where I'm at, by the way.
No, and I think you are, and I think that's coming across, by the way.
I'm absolutely proud, and I'm not ashamed to say I don't believe in the God of Christianity.
Right.
I'm not ashamed. Like I'm happy,
Right.
finally happy, bro. And but that as far as being a hypocrite, that's why I don't point people to my old music.
Okay.
Because I don't believe in a lot of the stuff I was saying. Like even in some of the rap, like I was saying hell. I was saying what I was taught, bro. Like and I won't indoctrinate people with that. I wish I could. And then you mentioned the music video, like
Yeah. Should we tag that in the show notes so people could go look at that?
No.
I might do that just to be. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't want us to, we won't.
But it's just.
But it's funny.
It was relevant for the time.
Yes.
It's what I believed.
Right.
And if I know anything about the brain, I think that we act on what we know. Like whatever we're going through, we think is truth. We as our brains as humans, dude, we can convince ourselves of anything. Like that's scary, bro.
Yeah.
Even with atheism, like I can convince myself that there's no God and there could still be a God. That's why I'm agnostic atheist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So speaking of music, going back to this, we kind of talked about your music and then, my musical rap influences, but what do you think of Christian music in general? Maybe Christian hip hop or Christian music in general. How do you feel about it?
I don't like it anymore, man. I respect the people that do it because, like I said, in a lot of
because you know the craft and
Absolutely.
you know what time it takes to put out an album and all that.
And absolutely. As artists that they are, like I respect them. And there's very few that I listen to. I don't really listen to Christian hip hop anymore, but I have friends that I used to network with that are friends on Facebook and whatever on social media, and I'll click on their stuff because I'm proud that they're doing something.
Right.
I'm like, wow, man, he made a great video, and I'll be like, dude, congratulations, you're awesome, bro, but whatever. And but I don't listen to Christian hip hop. I listen to NF. I love NF, and I wouldn't say he's a Christian rapper. Like
Well, he's come out and said that he's not.
Right.
He's a Christian,
And the same
like you've said.
Same with
that's
Lecrae.
a rapper.
Yeah,
Right.
Lecrae got a whole thing from the church because of that, and church,
Got to meet Lecrae, by the way.
awesome, dude.
Little shout out to Lecrae.
Yeah, shout
He was
out
at
to
he
Lecrae.
was in Medford
Yeah.
and he was actually doing a concert with Switchfoot.
Yeah.
And I was running security and he
Oh,
just happened to
nice.
walk by and I was like, "You're Lecrae, right?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, what's up, bro?" I'm like, "Can we get a selfie?" He's like, "Sure." So that's kind of cool.
He's like, no, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
No,
He's
it's true.
tall.
Is he tall?
He's got to be. I'm gonna say he's got to be 6'5".
Wow.
He could
that
ball.
is tall.
He could ball.
No kidding.
And I think he does ball. I mean, he's in incredible shape too, by the way. Anyway,
Wow.
but yeah, I got
So
to meet Lecrae. But he has good stuff too, I think.
He's got great stuff. Church Close 2 was my favorite album from him, like the mixtape, and I bumped it all the time, man. Even as a secular person, like I'll listen to that because it's good. But I respect that they're not trying to be categorized as Christian rappers,
Right.
And I think the biggest part when I was trying to make it bigger in my music, when we were trying to get the name out, I hated people putting me in that category of Christian rapper. I think it turned everybody off. Like as a secular person, like I'm completely turned off by somebody saying, "Oh yeah, man," or check out this Christian rapper. Like I won't even listen to it because I don't want that in my life. But if they're like, "Oh, dude, this dude's the shit, bro. Like he's honest, and he happens to be a Christian," I'm gonna click on that. Absolutely. Check out Hobson, man. Have you checked out Hobson?
I have not.
Dude,
No.
Hobson made and one of my songs called Questions is Questions.
I recognize the name just from some of your stuff, but yeah.
But Hobson inspired me because he's super, like he was a Christian at one point, just like me, and he got real with God. He asked all the questions that everybody was afraid to ask on video in a rap song, and talked about, and I did the same thing, like talked about, well, now that I'm doubting, is this apostasy? Like he was just straight up with God, and I did the same thing on Questions, and I really encourage people. It's very graphic, the song, very graphic, a lot of F words, and it's just who I am now. but like it's so pure, like it's real. And so I hated being labeled as a Christian rapper, but no, I won't listen to Christian hip hop anymore.
Okay. How does your family handle? How will you you mentioned your boys a couple of times.
Yeah.
How will you handle church with your boys as they grow up? Because they're kind of hitting that age, right? We're kind of where you were when
Yeah.
you got introduced to church. So how
Well,
will you handle that with your family?
If I could take back every single thing that I ingrained in my kids, I swear to God I would. Every single thing, every little fear. Like my son will come over. So like I said, my ex-wife and I split a long time ago. So we have different parenting times. So my 14-year-old and my 10-year-old will come over, and I've had conversations with my eldest where he's saying the same stuff that I'm saying, like about not knowing about God and da 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 da. But yet in the same breath, he's like, "Oh, Dad, I'm so scared about this thing called the rapture. I'm so scared about, well, what if Jesus comes back, or what if this, what if that?" I said, "Bro, you've been indoctrinated. If God is who we think he is, then sit back, homie. He loves you.
He's got you.
He's got you."
Yeah.
But it's sickening to me that even I raised my kid to believe in this doctrine that's been around for maybe 200 years. That if you're a Christian, that the world's going to end and there's going to be a mark of the beast, and then all of a sudden you're going to be raptured out and you're going to go live in paradise and whatever. Like, it's just sad that we indoctrinated our kids. I wish that I never did that. I wish I give them. I think it's in a lot of ways. I think, especially hell and all that stuff, can be very like a spiritual abuse to a child. I think give them the opportunity for their brain. Don't preach to them. Raise them with morals. Raise them that there could be a God, or whatever. But don't tell them that this is what they should believe, because you're shaping their whole life and you didn't give them an opportunity to figure it out themselves. So how's it even going to be real for them later
Yeah, it's a good question.
when they start to question that?
Yeah, that's a great question to ask for sure. This is just one I wrote towards the end of my brainstorming session with myself, and that was is what would it take for you to come back?
Evidence, man.
Okay.
It would take absolute evidence. Like I said, I think that God is the ultimate. There's not enough proof. Like I can't. It's there's no proof in it. So I listen to a lot of atheist Christian debates, and I respect both sides. I always will. But the atheists get them every time, and they'd be respectful. Like they're not like out to get Christians. They just want to have a dialogue and be like, okay, when we get to this, where's the proof? Oh, it's always by faith. Oh, it's only by faith. It's only by faith. It's only by faith. I don't live any other part of my life by just faith. Except I can play forward. I can know that there's proof that if I go back to dope, I'm going to lose everything.
You have faith in that, though, yeah?
I guess that's kind of a way of saying I have faith in it, but it's experience, though. Like I know what the outcome's going to be.
Right.
Eventually, it's going to be that I lose everything and end up back in prison, and I don't want that. So, like, I think that, and then number 2 would be, how come God hasn't answered any of my questions that I've asked with a genuine heart? How come He is so unapproachable? He's supposed to be tangible. He's supposed to be our personal relationship with our Savior, personal, and I don't think that He is. I just don't think that He is. So I don't think I would come back. And then a third point would be, I don't know how many other religions there are, but there's hundreds of other religions that are all trying to get to the same thing. Why would I think Christianity is the one just because I was raised in it? Why am I not afraid of the Muslim hell that's in the Quran, but I'm only afraid of the Christian one because I was raised in that doctrine, in being indoctrinated by that. So
were you afraid of the Christian hell?
I was.
Okay.
No, I'm saying that's ingrained.
Okay.
I don't
Right,
believe
right.
that that's true. And if it is, like I said, God's a freaking dick, dude.
Right.
Because I was real.
Yeah.
Bro. I was real. And
Yeah.
there's countless atheists that are complete atheists now, don't even believe in God, but they were studying to be pastors, or they were pastors for 25 years. Matt Dillahunty is one of my favorites. And the dude's amazing. And he loved God with all of his heart, just like I did. But then he found it to not be true.
Right.
At least, not that God's not real,
Right.
but at least the indoctrination that he was, and he says it so many times. He's like, is God just like an immoral thug? Like, why would he create somebody, give them a brain, give them a rational brain, and we use our rational brain in every other aspect of our life except for faith, and then make it so hard to understand? Why would he do that to us? So I don't, it would take a lot of evidence for me to come back. I don't want to come back, bro. I just don't have any desire.
Okay. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know.
I mean, according to my life and my standards, yeah, I think it's good. According to the church, I would be considered a backslidden Christian, or I said it in that song Questions, that apostasy or whatever it's called.
Right.
It's like but I think it's all
I don't know if heretic is the right word. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but
yeah.
So I want to close with this question. Then we're gonna play a game. That's why I handed you the cup of awesome. That's what I call that, because it has North Carolina on it. So well, I want to end with two questions. So the first question is, the Christian Bible says Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. I know you know this verse,
Sure.
maybe. Nobody can come to the Father except through him. That sounds very exclusive in nature. What do you make of that statement that Jesus makes?
I think that it goes back to me thinking God would be unjust. There's so many other people that don't believe that. There's so many people that aren't raised with that person, Jesus, being the Savior. There's so many other religions that are trying to get to God, trying to be the best people they can, but yet according to the Christian Bible that you're talking about, he sends every one of those people to hell because they didn't get it right. I think he'd be a cosmic asshole.
Wow. So last question. Why did you agree to do this? We don't know each other.
Yeah,
We've
no.
never met. We met through Ben. And
Right.
by the way, I've never met Ben.
Yeah.
I've talked to
You
him
told me
on the
that, yeah.
phone, but I've never met him face to face. So
if you do, he's gentle.
I've seen him on Facebook.
He's
We're
such
friends
a-
now on Facebook,
such a cool dude, man.
but yeah, and he's actually friends with somebody else that I go to church with, and so it's just funny how the Valley just everyone connects together. So, but why did you agree to do this?
Just I don't know, man. Just because I'm okay with where I'm at, and like you said, this is the first time to put it on any kind of platform, and so maybe clear up to some people where I'm at. So I just thought it was an opportunity. Ben was like, and plus, like I said, I listened to some of this series in other people's shoes, and
Thank you for
I
that, by the way.
respect
I
that.
really
Like,
respect the fact that you listened. That means a lot to me.
I super respect that you would do that. Like, not many people really want to go see what, like when we talked on the phone, you were like, I really want to know your truth.
Yeah, like I cut you off even because you started to tell it to me. I'm like, whoop.
Yeah.
Let's wait. Let's not ruin anything.
You're like, I would like to know how you got to the place you're
Well, I
in.
do.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why I agreed to. And I knew right away if Ben would, recommend it, I was like, yeah. Because like I said, Ben and I, we always go dialogue back and forth, and he knows where I'm at.
Right.
And I think he thought that it would be a really good opportunity to explain myself and to hear.
Well, and Ben did. Ben, if you haven't listened to it, Ben did a bonus episode much like this one, and I do invite you to go listen to that because I think we really are getting the other side of the coin. We had Ben's side of the coin who's saying, listen, kids aren't leaving my church. Here's why.
Right.
And now we got your side who, was in not only the Christian, we'll call it, I don't want to call it game because that almost implies like you're playing games, but you were in the Christian scene. Not only were you in the Christian scene, you were ministering. I mean, you probably have no idea how many people came to Christ because of your, influence as a rapper and an artist. You have no idea. Nobody knows that.
I've heard there's one that messes me up to this day, and I might even choke me up. There's this lady that was in the car. She was doing some kind of off-roading in a Bronco or something, and somebody told me this, and she was listening to my album. Like, it was literally playing when the car crashed. She was going down this hill, and she lost control, and she died. And she was listening to my album. And then I've had countless people throughout the years call me.
Wait, go back to that. She died
Yeah, she passed away.
while listening to your album.
While listening to the album, whatever she was listening to. Like, she was a fan, and she had it in the CD player, tape deck, dang.
Probably. Could have been. Who knows?
In the CD player.
In the CD player,
And
okay.
she goes off the hill way too fast or whatever and goes down this big, engorgement or whatever they call it, this big hill, bam, and then dies. And then the CD that was playing was my CD. Like, that rips me up. Like, I appreciate that. Like, I'm glad that I gave her comfort, because when you do listen to the music, there's a lot of beautiful songs that give you hope, that just, or whatever, relatable. You're like, I'm going through a struggle. This gave me comfort. Like, I get that. Like, so that's cool.
But
Yeah.
but that does nothing for you?
No, it does. It does, but I don't. Oh, and then I've had other people throughout the years, especially when I was a Christian, they hit me up on Facebook or whatever, and back in MySpace days, and be like, I was going to commit suicide, but I didn't because I listened to this song. That blesses me still to this day. I don't care if I believe in that stuff I was preaching or not. Like, if anything helps you, that's good. The only part for me is just the indoctrination. I was basically putting onto a CD what I've been fed. And that part I don't like. The music was beautiful. The heart behind it was great. But I don't believe that the stuff I was saying as much anymore.
So first album came out when? First Christian album. Do you remember how old you were when it first came out? Your first Christian album, roughly?
I want to say early 20s. But I had written a bunch of stuff before and recorded other stuff.
But really first, like, real, like, this is
The first
this is I'm
one-
proud of it. This is
Yeah.
my album.
I printed it up. It was called While I'm Burning. And I was just listening to that a couple weeks ago. And it's good, too.
So how
That
old
was
were you again?
2004. Let's see, my son was born in 05. That was like 16 or 17 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
Whatever 04 would... Was it 04? Might have been before that, man.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's okay. So what I'm wondering, though, is you're 30 what now?
36.
36 now. What would you go back and tell that 20-something-year-old Will?
It's going to sound rude, but I would tell him not to marry the woman he was dating for 3 months.
Okay.
And he didn't have sex with her because the church said don't have sex with her, and then he married the wrong woman because they were doing the godly thing. And
Right.
They didn't get to know each other. They didn't have their first argument. They didn't know how to communicate. They just saw that Jesus together. She loves God. You love God. Oh, we're looking for companionship. Boom. There we go. And we have kids, and now I'm paying $700 in child support. It's just, I would go back.
So go back and tell you not to marry the girl. Okay.
Stop.
So what about your music? What would you tell yourself about your music?
If I knew now
Right.
the questions I
Yes,
have about
exactly.
God,
Mm-hmm.
I would stop doing music and I would do my research.
Okay.
I wouldn't stop because I'm constantly writing. But like, I would stop and say, be more like NF. Be more neutral. Don't be afraid, because at that point I was thinking that I needed to do the music for the church. Like my goal was to go in youth groups and entertain them so they didn't have to listen to all the bad stuff. Entertain them, disciple them, whatever. But the church didn't want us to come in. We'd have to go to the back door so many times to do whatever. So I would say, don't go target the church because they're not going to want you. Target the hurting people, the misfits, the outcasts, all those people. And I still do that.
And I think that's why NF is so successful, is
Absolutely.
because he is hitting that target audience,
Yeah.
right? He has a line, wearing our hoodies,
Yeah.
And wearing our black clothes and our hoodies, or
Yeah.
something to that.
He was
nature.
saying something about misfits and being an outcast.
Yeah.
And we got our hoodies like we're about to do something. I forget what it
Yeah,
is. I know
but
a
you
song.
you did it better than I did,
know what
for
song you're
sure.
talking about, yeah.
Still white guy over here. But man, Will, this has been fun.
Yeah.
This has been real fun. I hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully we didn't strike a nerve too much with
not
you.
at all.
Man, I'm always grateful that somebody is willing to sit with me and kind of break down, who they are in their life, and it's just so cool for me. And I'm a firm believer that God is real.
Sure. Absolutely.
Obviously. And I'm a firm believer that God is using this platform to reach people, whether good or bad, for the church or not for the church. Because not every episode we do involves this idea on why people leave church or why people leave faith. But the idea is that we're in your shoes, we're walking in your shoes, we're getting your perspective, and that's really what it's all about. So in your cup, go back to this, our game that we like to end with. So this is a game we like to call Senseless. So you get to roll that die in there, and then based on what you roll will be our final question. So go ahead and roll it around. There you go.
Number 4.
Everybody gets 4, and I love it. That's my favorite number. So game we like to call Senseless. So here's number 4. One thing you love to hear.
One thing I'm love to hear.
One thing you love to hear.
I love to hear music. It's my favorite thing. I love music. I listen to music all the time. I listen to beats all the time. I get lost in music. Yeah.
Yeah. Is music your escape in a lot of respects?
Absolutely. My escape, my therapy.
Your therapy session to go NF again?
Yeah.
Because he has a whole album called Therapy Session. So
I love to listen to music.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm a big music fan too. I can't sing to save my life. And I like to think I'm a rapper,
Nice.
but I'm really not. I'm really not. I dreamed of being Toby Mac when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that would be really cool.
I
And
met him.
I got to meet him too.
Were you here when he did that?
Yep,
My
I did.
son was a huge fan. So yeah, he met him too.
Yeah,
So that's cool.
I got to meet Toby Mac, and actually I was doing security for him as well. And crazy Toby Mac's story is this. I met him and I didn't know what to say. Like it was the first time I was really quote unquote starstruck. Like seeing Lecrae, I was like, oh, hey, you're Lecrae. You know, I've met Switchfoot. Oh, hey, you're Switchfoot. Michael Tate, I've met him too. Oh, hey, you're Michael Tate. But Toby, I was like, Mr. Toby, Mr. McKeon, you know, I didn't know what to say, but I literally said to him, I said, listen, I got free at last, like I referred to in earlier. And I said, I got free at last and it changed my life. I said, your music hit me at a time where I was down, I was depressed, I was, you know, maybe on the verge of ending things.
Sure.
But Free at Last came out and I was like, there is hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the hard times, you know, the hard way is on that album, that song. And I don't know if they borrowed it from somebody. I don't know if that's an original. I really don't know. But that song so many times playing in my cassette player
Sure.
was so powerful. And then of course Jesus Freak comes out after that and just really rocks my world in an amazing way. But DC Talk for me was where it was at.
Yeah.
So
And see, and that's the cool thing, because if the church, you know, speaking as an ex-Christian hip-hop artist, but my struggle was always the church accepting hip-hop.
yeah,
And if I can encourage them on one thing, it does help people.
it did.
Like,
Help me.
There's so many people that want to hear that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but they're not pushing that.
Well, and even KJ, like KJ52 came along,
Yeah.
and you know he's this Christian white rapper,
Yeah.
or you know Christian rapper that's white, and I'm like, wait, you got NF, or not? NF isn't even on the scene yet, but you got Eminem, and I always feel guilty listening to Eminem, and then you know KJ comes along, I'm like, well, now I don't feel so guilty because you know he's spitting rhymes about Jesus, and so anyway, cool stuff. So again, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you.
you're a really cool guy, and I wish you all the blessings, if I can say that, blessings with your sobriety and your your engagement. Man, I'm pumped that you know you're taking some steps to really turn your life around, because you've seen the darkness and you walked in the darkness, but you chose to walk out of that, and that's awesome. So we'll see if this works. There it is. A little sound effect as we kind of get out of here. I want to thank my guest Will, Harmony IC, or just Harmony nowadays. Yeah, and so I want to thank him so much for doing this. This is Other People's Shoes, of course, and I just want to remind you, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. I, of course, am your host, Neil Matthews. This is a bonus episode, so if you like this episode, obviously we encourage you to share it. Share it with your friends. If it's been encouraging in any way to a friend or a coworker, please do share it. And of course, we'll be back next week as we continue our series in You Lost Me, and we'll look forward to that. So stay tuned for that. And again, I just want to remind you, please, when you walk in other people's shoes, just remember, you really do get a different perspective on life. Thank you so much.
Text message, no voicemail, and no answering to my calls. How the hell you expecting me to believe in something that's not tangible? Cause I can't touch you when I can't find you, but guaranteed that if I said I love you, I would never hide from you. Cause I can't change the way I think, and I can't change the way my thoughts picture you like you pissed off. If you're pissed off, then just piss off. See, I'm somewhere in the middle of needing you, believing you, but leaving you at the bottom of the ocean like a sank boat. It's like a faint hope, it ain't no joke. I need me a power greater than me. If that ain't you, then I'ma keep on searching, I'ma keep on looking for another purpose, another person, cause I know I'm worth it. I'm somewhere in the middle of needing you, believing you, but leaving you at the bottom of the ocean like a sank boat, like a faint hope, it ain't no joke, no.
Thank you so much for listening to Other People's Shoes I, of course, am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining us this day for this bonus episode. I'm going to tell you, was that not hard to hear in some spots? What was your takeaway today? My greatest takeaway was probably the story that he retells about kind of that night when he just looks up into the sky and he's like cussing at God and he's just beside himself. That to me was probably the greatest takeaway of this episode. What was yours? What are you going to tell your friends, your family members, your coworkers about this episode? Hopefully you have an opportunity to do that. I want to invite you back, of course, next week as we close out this series. It is, of course, You Lost Me. That'll take place on Wednesday, so please come be a part of that. It is the hardest episode I have taped since I started this podcast, and I want to invite you back for that. Next Wednesday, that'll take place. If you'd like to, of course, like us on Facebook, that can be done at facebook.com. We are under Other People's Shoes. If you'd like to follow our comings and goings on Instagram, that can be done at OPS Podcast Show. You can do that there. Of course, if you'd like to tweet us, that can be done at People's Shoes. We're on Twitter as well. And I just, again, want to remind you, as I do so often, remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. I, of course, am your host, Neil Matthews. I look forward so much till next Wednesday when we get to sit and try on somebody else's shoes next week. Stay tuned for that. It is our season finale of Season 2. And, of course, stay tuned in the fall, September, as we kick off Season 3. And I have so much in store for you. I hope you come and get to be a part of that. Again, this is Other People's Shoes. Thank you so much for listening.